Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the P-Ave Perspective. I'm your host, Mr. O'Neill. First of all, I want to thank everybody for tuning in with me, whether you're watching the live stream or whether you're watching the replay video. Thank you for tuning in with me this week. Today's episode is entitled Raising Kings and Queens, Building Confidence in Our Children. And as always, I try to talk about stuff that's important and sometimes a little too serious, but I got to keep it real. I always have to keep it real. And like I said, from my views and opinions, you know what I'm saying? I do research, but I know that with the subjects I speak on, I don't speak for everybody. I don't claim to, but I do speak what's real. And this conversation is critical because as we're seeing now, we should be like, if we don't build our children, then the streets will, social media will, the music they listen to will, and trauma will, the statistics will. Like we can look at it like now. I was thinking, back when we were coming up and in the early years before the hood got turned out or the neighborhoods got turned out by crack, our parents were serious about pushing us to be better than they were. And while a lot of them didn't have the tools, they pushed education, they supported education, and they did their best to make sure that we took education seriously and we made the best of education because they knew that that was the way out. That was the one way that we had of getting out of the situation and being better than them. So they always push education on us. But these days, parents these days don't even really, a lot of parents don't even take the education serious. And what I mean by that is they don't support the teachers, they don't support the schools. They're quicker to, go get into it with people, go get into it with the teachers, or, go up there to cause a scene or something like that, than they are to support the teachers and really do their part to make sure that it the education don't end at school. It don't end when school out. Really that's just the beginning, because we know how the education system is. So we should understand that school is just the beginning. Most of the stuff that we're supposed to learn, we learn in our environment of home, we learn in our neighborhoods, we learn by the people we're around, and that sort of thing. So, in essence, we are not giving our kids the best opportunities. We're not giving our kids the best opportunities. And it starts with confidence. No matter what we do, it starts with confidence. And tonight we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about building confidence in our children. We're going to talk about how it starts with us, why it matters, and practical ways that we can help our kids maximize their God-given potential. Because too many of our children are failing. Too many of our kids are ended up caught in the system and dead, or like unproductive citizens in this world without the ability to like take care of themselves. It's happening too much now. But drop in the comments, king or queen, if you believe our children deserve to walk in confidence. Drop it in the chat for me. Let's see what you're talking about. Drop it in the chat. Let's see what you're talking about. But let's be honest, and I always say this, but before we can do anything, before we can accomplish anything, we have to start being honest with ourselves. But honestly, many of our children are growing up in environments where confidence gets attacked daily. Whether it's poverty or not having enough, broken homes where, either the mother or father is not there, or even broken homes where the mother or father may be there, but they're broken. But negative school experiences, lack of representation as youth, social media comparisons, and being turned on to what's going on social media, trauma, they exposed to violence. There's so many things that they come in contact with on a daily basis that can destroy or simply hinder building their confidence. And when a child grows up hearing more criticism than encouragement, when they see more dysfunction than discipline, when they experience more survival than support, their confidence struggles. And when confidence is low, if you don't know, what happens is kids give up quickly. They look for validation in the wrong places. They follow instead of lead. We have so many followers these days as kids. And they shrink instead of stepping up. They shrink in crucial situations and are quicker to make bad decisions rather than step up and do the right thing. And when we don't build identity at home, the world will assign them one. Social media will assign them one. Their peers, their friends will assign them one. But honest and truly, like I said earlier, it all starts with us as parents, as uncles, as aunts, as family members, as the village. It starts with us. It starts with us. And we cannot raise confident children if we are not confident. If we walk in fear, if we make excuses, if we walk around with that victim mindset, or still continue like I spoke on a week or two ago with that hood mindset, then we can't raise confident children. And like I said, it starts with us. We have to be better about who we are, about how we do things, about what we show them. When I was young, my parents were more of a you do as I say, not as I do type parents. But we see how that worked out. We see how that worked out. And a lot of us see it now because our kids are a reflection of us. They're a reflection of what they see. They tend to go through the same things that they seen us go through. They tend to do the same things that they saw us do. So it's not a do as I say situation. That don't work. They do as you do. They use the reflections of you or worse if you're not on top of it and, keeping track of what's going on. But like I said, they don't do what we say. They do what we model. They model themselves after us. If we avoid responsibility, if we speak negatively about ourselves and others, if when things get hard, we quit or give up or make excuses, if we blame everyone else for our situation or blame everyone else for how we allow ourselves to be treated, if we don't continue to grow in our personal lives or pursue purpose in our personal lives, then they learn that. They learn that. Whether we tell them to do different, and no matter what, they see us. But if we apologize when we wrong, if we are quicker to try new things and push ourselves to accomplish new things, if we keep our word, if we are honest, if we speak positively or speak life over ourselves or speak positive about ourselves, if we invest in self-development and are constantly striving to be better, then they learn that too. They'll learn that too. Confidence is caught before it's taught, meaning they'll see it. They have to see it before they can learn it. And if daddy doesn't believe in himself, or mama doesn't believe in herself or in herself, or if mama constantly tears herself down, even if mom allows other people, her mate, family members or whatever, if her kids are allowed to see her tear herself down or see other people tear her down, then they'll learn that. They'll learn that. If we never take risk, our kids absorb the energy that we give out. We always talk about matching energy, but we don't recognize how connected and how our household energy affects our kids. So what are your children seeing? What are they seeing you do constantly? And just like I said, you don't have to answer. Keep it real with yourself. Answer that yourself. Really look at yourself and look at your life and look at what you are given as a role model. Just look at it. And that's really what your kids are seeing constantly. And it affects them. It affects them. But I want to talk, as always, we talk about the problem and we'll talk more about it. But we have to talk about solutions because it's about getting better. The reason why I talk about these subjects, the reason why I even get on here is because we have to do better. I want us to do better. And the only way we can get better and do better is talk about these things. That's the only way. You know, there's so much going on in this world right now that people want to focus on. And just like I tell people, it would be too easy for me to talk about, you know, what's going on with somebody else, what's going on in the media, what's going on in entertainment, and do a lot of gossiping and you know, talking about nonsense. It'll be easy for me to do that to get the views, but I don't want the views. I want the real. I want what's real. I want real conversations, and I want to discuss real issues. And I don't care, you know, if I never get the major views. I don't care because that's not what it's about. It's about, and like I said, that in itself is confidence because confidence give us the power to stand for something and not fall for anything. But like I said, I like to share a couple of strategies that we can start using this week to start building confidence in our youth, man, building confidence in our kids. And number one is we have to start giving our kids more responsibility. We have to, you know, confidence grows through competence and learning. You know, age appropriate chores. You know what I'm saying? And meaning the smaller kids cleaning up behind themselves up until, you know, keep cleaning the house. You know, kids, your boys, you know, mowing the yards. You know what I'm saying? Teaching our young women to, you know, do more. You know what I don't want to say get into specific chores because I know that people nowadays feel like there are no male appropriate chores and duties and women appropriate chores and duties. I do feel like that. I do feel like that because the key is balance. The key is balance. And while you're supposed to learn everything you can, the key is balance and learning to be able to work together and work with others to build. But like I said, age appropriate chores, you know, let them manage small money, teach them how to manage money, how to money, save for the stuff they want, you know, and let them solve problems. You know, we so quick to come to the rescue or we want to make everything right. And, you know, we so willing to jump out there, but let them learn to communicate and solve problems on their own, especially as they get older. But don't overprotect. We become so overprotective nowadays and so quick to run to the rescue to the point where our kids get dependent on that. And then a lot of times they don't develop the skills to think on their own or to solve their own problems. And we see it every day, but don't over rescue. Don't over rescue your kids. Don't always jump the one to the rescue. You know, they as like that development is figuring things out on their own, figuring out how to communicate, figuring out how to solve problems, figuring out how to think things through. But struggle builds strength. We know that. You know, we know that. At least we should. I'm not going to say what we know, but we should do that. Next, teach emotional intelligence. Teach emotional intelligence. And like you said, like I say, it starts with us. It starts with us. You know what I'm saying? As humans, as adults, me, myself, emotional intelligence is being more willing to talk, showing my kids, you know, that I can communicate, that I can communicate with my mate, that I can communicate with people I come in contact, even when it's, you know, supposed to be strife or it's supposed to be, you know, like I've always prided myself in being able to talk to people and communicate with people, express whatever it is I'm trying to express. And even when it comes, we can get to the point where we can agree to disagree. We are so quick with the negativity and the arguing and the throwing darts, or disrespectful, screaming, yelling. That's not what's up. And our kids see this. And if we are those type, if we do that, you know, in our relationships, in our family dealings, like our kids are seeing this, and they pick up the same habits. And we know, those are not the habits. Those are not the habits. And instead of with our young men, instead of telling our young men, oh, stop crying, you got to be tough. Men don't cry. Yes, men cry. Men cry. And it's okay. But we'll start talking to them about their feelings. Start talking to them and getting them to express themselves. Help them to put a name on their feelings. Help them to name frustration. Help them to name embarrassment and fear and disappointment and anger. Like, kids have to get to the point where they can talk about it, where they understand that, hey, it's an emotion. It's okay. But they have to learn how to deal with it, because it's too many of us are moving off emotions with no control over our emotions. And we see where it's leading us. We see where it's leading us. We see where it's led our generation. And I know we should see where it's leading the next generation. Too many of our kids are getting mad or getting angry, or they get bullied, and they are self-destructive. They're self-destructive. Just because you're mad don't mean you have to fight. Just because you're upset, or just because somebody made you were embarrassed, it doesn't mean you have to resort to trying to hurt somebody. Just because we are disappointed don't mean we have to go off and disrespect people, disrespect our elders, disrespect our parents. Like, that's not what it's all about. And y'all know that. But if y'all are honest with yourself, we seeing it far too often nowadays. We seeing it far too often. But emotionally intelligent kids become emotionally stable adults. It is what it is. And kids with no self-control, kids who can't control their emotions, they end up in prison or dead. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is. We have to start, helping them develop emotional intelligence. Number 3, we have to start praising effort. We have to start praising effort. It's okay to praise outcome. That's what we really do. But more so, we have to praise effort, because outcomes don't always turn out right. It's cool to praise, when they win. That's cool. But even in losses, we have to learn to praise the effort, because they don't win all the time. Instead of, oh, good job, you won, good job, just say, hey, great game. I like your effort out there. Instead of saying, you so smart, because when they get an A on the test, like, praise effort. I'm proud of how hard you work. That promotes hard work. That promotes, staying focused, even when you don't win, even when you don't get the A. It's about effort. It's more so about effort. That's what builds character. That's what builds confidence. It builds resilience instead of, performance pressure. Like, we have to do better, people. We have to do better. But let them fail sometimes safely, but we have to let them fail. We can't, like I said, we can't rescue them all the time. Failure is not the enemy. Shame is. Let them fail and teach them. Like we said, mistakes. Mistakes only teach us how not to do something. So failure only shows you how not to do something. That gives you, something to analyze that, if handled properly, could make you better, could help you build confidence. But normalize, try again. Normalize learning from your mistakes. Normalize accountability, taking accountability. And let's be real. This is one thing we need to do as adults. We need to start sharing our failures with our kids and showing them our growth. So many of us as parents act like we've never failed, act like we've never got it wrong, act like we've always, had our stuff together, and that is fake. It's bogus. It's bogus. A lot of us try to hold our kids to a standard that we never met on our own. And like I said, that's expecting too much. Show them, teach them the mistakes you made. Talk to them about the mistakes you made. Teach them about the bad decisions. Talk to them about the bad decisions, the bad choices. And then if you leveled up from those choices, which I have to admit a lot of us haven't, but if you have, or if you're working to level up, talk to them about it. Be honest with them. Be honest with them. Don't have them trying to live up to no super high expectations that we couldn't even live up to. It's hard out here. And just like I said, it's even harder for them. But helping them build confidence, helping them build resilience will help them in the long run to become better and to not give up and to keep pushing when times get hard. But number 5, and this is so crucial, we have to limit toxic input. We have to limit toxic input. We have to limit our toxic input because a lot of us are so toxic. A lot of us are so toxic. A lot of us can't hold simple conversations with our kids. We can't hold conversations with others. We so quick to want to pull up. We so quick to want to write or check or read somebody, like to the point where that's all toxic and it affects our kids. So we have to limit toxic input. We have to limit the stuff they see from us and hear from us. We have to limit the stuff they hear in the music. We have to limit the toxic stuff they see on TV. We have to, protect them from negative relatives, negative relationships that we may go through. We have to protect them from the toxicity and negativity. You cannot plant confidence and water insecurity. It don't work. It's not going to grow. It's not going to grow. But we also have to learn to speak life into them on a daily basis. We have to get them to work with them. Us as individuals, we should have daily affirmations. Work with our kids, work with your kids to create daily affirmations. I am capable. I am disciplined. I am respectful. I can learn anything if I put my mind to it. Like we have to start, just like we should make it a part of our morning routine, our daily routine, we should work with them to do the same thing. We should work with them to do the same thing. Expose them to possibility. Possibility. Take them to businesses where the people look like us, where the owners look like us. Take them to businesses. Take them to community events where the people who are running the events, the people who are speaking, the people who are a part of these events look like them and look like us. Expose them to positive male and female mentors, potential role models. Take them to see professionals who look like them, something other than basketball players or rappers or reality TV stars. Take them to see some lawyers. Take them to see some doctors. Take them to see, real people, some real professionals who look like us and look like them. Let them talk to them. Let them motivate them. Let them inspire them. But exposure to this kind of stuff, it expands the belief that they can actually accomplish something other than being a rapper or being a TikTok star or a reality TV star or an OnlyFans star. Because it seemed like that's like we raising more of those than anything. We make raising more rappers, more athletes, really more shooters, more killers, more drug dealers, more inmates. We raising more of those than anything, really. And it like we have to do better, people. We have to do better. And as I always say, it takes a village. It takes a village. A lot of us know we didn't grow up with the best role models. A lot of us know we grew up in households where it was violence, it was negativity, it was fussing, it was cussing, it was abuse. We grew up in that. So how could we allow our kids to get exposed to the same thing? Because if we did the work with ourselves, we know how bad we turned out from it. So, like, it amazed me with people nowadays will say, I don't know how my kids turned out like this, or I don't understand what's going on with these kids today. These kids, yes, because they have even less support than we do. We barely had support. I barely had support because my mother worked, like overtime to take care of us financially. So we had to figure out a lot of stuff on our own. But my generation is so far mentally gone and so far emotionally gone to the point where their kids or our kids have even less support. And then we try to act like we don't understand. Like our kids saw so much worse. Like I said, my mother went to work. There was abuse in the home, but like I said, I can't lie. My kids saw worse because my kids, God forbid, saw drug dealing. They saw abuse. They saw negativity. They out in the hood seeing people murdered, people killed, people fighting, people arguing, people like, and then the music. The music is constantly got worse. And now they have to worry about social media. So they were exposed to even more than our kids were exposed to even more negativity and destructive stuff than we were. But then we'll sit and talk, well, I don't know, these kids today, they just out of hand, they just out of control, and act like we were just so good. But we were just so on point when we were young. Come on, we got to stop it. A lot of us didn't grow up with confident role models, but hopefully we can become what we didn't have. I've been working to do it for the longest, and I know a few more people who I grew up with that have been working to become what we didn't have and to be that for the next generation. Because just like I said, I tell people all the time, I was out there in the streets. I can't act like I don't understand these kids now because I understand. I understand when you don't see better, how can people expect you to do better? It's easy to talk about. I see parents out here ain't doing shit for themselves, ain't making no moves, popping up on the social media all day, talking about they content creators and everything, but then they trying to tell they don't understand why their kids ain't doing shit. Yeah, you understand. Because they see it in you. They see you not doing nothing. They see you wanting to pull up and fight or want to pull up and argue or want to keep up negativity or want to indulge in the negativity all the time, and they don't see any positivity. They get it from us. They get it from us. But we as a community, we have to do better. As parents, we have to do better. And I hate this with a passion, but like I said, we had it different. You know what I'm saying? I remember when it started changing over, just like I tell people all the time. I remember when it started changing over. I remember when, the drugs came into play and the neighborhood started flipping. But I also remember when everybody was accountable for everybody. I remember that. I still remember a time that I couldn't leave my house and go a couple of streets over and act bad and act up because the neighbor would get on me. The neighbor would check me. Hey, watch your mouth. You know you're not supposed to be cursing. I'm going to tell your mama. When you get over there and fight, hey, y'all stop that. Y'all not supposed to be fighting each other. Y'all supposed to be sticking together. And see, this generation, my generation, they don't know nothing about that. They don't know nothing about that because the parents pulling up want to fight. Oh, you better not say nothing to my child. Or what did you say to my child? Or yeah, well, I heard they was fighting and you put your hands on my child. What do you think they learned from that? What do you think your kids learn from seeing you act ignorant and want to pull up? What you think they learn? How to pull up on the wrong person and get something done to them? Or how to pull up on the wrong person and hurt them and end up in prison with a charge? Because that's all we doing. We promoting the fight videos. When the last time, I can't remember the last time I seen somebody promote a video that showed two people talking out of situation and getting an understanding, or at least agreeing to disagree. That's not cool. That's not what excites us. That's not what turn us on. We're not sharing that. And we wonder again why our kids act ignorant. Why our kids, like they used to say back in the days, don't have home training. Because you're not showing, you're not teaching it. But I still remember when parents supported other parents. I still remember when, our neighbors corrected children with love. I still remember that. I still remember when people celebrated academic wins. Yeah, not because you won the fight, not because your outfit, not because you know how to twerk, not because you can do the latest shake your butt challenge. No, I still remember the real, but we got to get back to that. We got to get back to that. We got to celebrate, like I said, celebrate academic wins. We got to get back to supporting those kids in the neighborhood who are knocking on your door trying to ask you, can they do tasks to earn money, mow your yard, that type of situation, that type of stuff. We got to get back to that. We got to get back to mentoring. We got to get back to being parents, being concerned. We too busy trying to turn up. I'm 53 years old. I see women my age and women in my generation still trying to turn up. Still trying to, jump on, and make a twerk video, or trying to do the latest challenge, or trying to, do the latest TikTok challenge, or on her with some negativity. Going back and forth with somebody about somebody else's man, about somebody else's problems, worried about what issues that other people got going on, worrying about these rappers and come on. We got to do better. We have to do better. We have to do better. But confidence is a community project. It's a community project, man. All of us working together, we can build our kids up into the kings and queens that they're going to have to be in order to go somewhere in this world. Because peasants ain't going nowhere. We look at it now. Look at us. Peasants going to hell and jail. It's simple as that. So if we not raising kings and queens, we raising baby mamas, baby daddies, OnlyFans stars, rapists, killers, and inmates. That's what we raising if we not raising kings and queens. Look at what's out here. And just like you say, you can say not mine, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But look at those around you. If you raise the best kids in the neighborhood and they surrounded by a bunch of savages, do you think you think they're not gonna get caught up in the savagery? Let's keep it real. So we ain't just responsible for ours. We responsible for the ones I was attend school with, the ones I was play with, the ones in our neighborhoods, because they affect ours, whether we like it or not. Whether we like it or not. When we raise strong kids, we build safer neighborhoods, we build safer schools, we build stronger communities. It's simple as that. But when we don't, if we continue not to raise our kids and not to show our kids how to be better and not to teach confidence. And if we don't, we'll continue to see what we're seeing now. A bunch of OnlyFans stars, baby mamas, baby daddies, and inmates, and dead people. There's no other way to put it. I'm anybody that know me know I'm not a sugarcoater. Real is real. Fake is fake. We're gonna keep it real. If we don't do better, it's gonna get worse. It's simple as that. But this isn't just about your household. Like I'm saying, it's not just about your household. Because your kids, you can't keep them in your household all the time. They have to go out into your neighborhood. They have to move around into other neighborhoods, other communities. They have to go to school. Eventually, they're going to events. Eventually, they're going to, whether they go to the community center or whatever. If we don't take responsibility for our neighborhoods, our communities, as well as our home, we are going to leave a destructive world out there for our kids. And it's going to make it even harder. No matter how much confidence we build in them. If we just stop there, it's not going to be enough. It won't be enough. But it's about generational impact. It's about generational impact. Your household, your street, your neighborhood, your community, and beyond. But tonight, I challenge every parent, every aunt, every uncle, every mentor, every teacher, every person in the community. I challenge you to start this week. And if nothing else, have one intentional confidence building conversation with your child, your niece, nephew, your student, whatever. 2, assign one new responsibility. Assign one new responsibility. 3, speak one powerful affirmation daily. Have your child speak one positive affirmation daily. 4, model one courageous action. One courageous action. But like I said, stop waiting on the school system. Stop blaming the neighborhood. We can stop blaming the past and how we were raised. We can stop blaming the system. We can stop, we can stop all of that, and we can start building the future. We can start building the future. And it starts in our living room. It starts in our home, and it expands. It spreads. But drop in the comments, I will build my king or I will build my queen, based on if you got a son or a daughter. Drop it in the comments. But people, my people. Family, poverty, it does not have to produce insecurity. Trauma does not have to define your child's destiny. Our children deserve discipline, love, and let me get this straight. We were raised on, if I put a roof over your head, I put clothes on your back, and I put food on your table. And we see how hard we had it. Because that's all we got. We see how hard we had it. And our kids in this world will have it worse if that's all we give them. Again, our kids deserve discipline. Our kids deserve love. Our kids deserve structure. Our kids deserve encouragement. Our kids deserve exposure. Our kids deserve accountability. We are not raising victims. I refuse. I refuse to let them be raised around me. We are raising leaders. We are raising leaders. But hey, if this episode blessed you, share it, tag a parent, subscribe to the YouTube channel at I Am Toby O'Neal. Follow me on Facebook at I Am Toby O'Neal. And Again, this is the P-Ave Perspective. I'm your host, Mr. O'Neill. This is the place where we can talk about our problems, and talk about the solutions. Again, I thank y'all for tuning in, whether you're watching the live stream or whether you're watching the replay. Until next Thursday at 8, let's raise kings and queens. Let's raise kings and queens. But I'll see y'all next week. Have a great one.